People around this country, and for that matter around the world, are reacting tonight to the terrible news of the death of Robin Williams. A statement from his wife confirming his death alludes to his battle with depression, and now we know why. The 63-year-old actor and comedian died of an apparent suicide.
Okay, time now for the latest on actor Owen Wilson's hospitalization. Wilson is still at Cedars-Sinai Hospital after an apparent suicide attempt this weekend.
Well, tonight everybody is trying to understand Owen's private pain. It is the subject of our Showbiz special report. How can someone who really seemed to have it all be such a troubled person?
E.T. caught up with Gwen at a La Mer event Tuesday night, the same day we learned Nashville star Hayden Panettiere had checked into treatment for postpartum depression, which Gwyneth has candidly talked about on her lifestyle site, Goop. Gwyneth Paltrow opens up to E.T. about postpartum depression.
It's a very debilitating thing, and I think there's so much shame around it, and there shouldn't be, you know.
As you just saw, many celebrities, the people we think of as having their lives together, still struggle with depression and the stigma that is present in our world and the media. Stigma surrounding mental illness, specifically depression, is exemplified in the yellow wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman and in the world around us. This stigma inhibits those affected by mental illness from seeking the treatment that they need. Mental illness doesn't discriminate. It can affect people that society believes have it all, like red carpet celebrities, but it can also affect college students. The stigma surrounding depression not only affects the suffering, but also those closest to them. Mental illness stigma has improved since the writing of the yellow wallpaper, but it is still depressingly present in our modern world. Compared to the advancements of treatment of other illnesses, mental illness treatments are still being hindered by this stigma. Depression and any other type of mental illness should be treated like any other medical condition and be given the proper attention it deserves. In the yellow wallpaper, John's wife suffers from postpartum depression, which is worsened by her doctor/husband's stigma surrounding mental illness. The stigma and popular opinion surrounding a subject can be more overwhelming than this problem itself. Times have changed, and people afflicted with mental illnesses today have medical professionals who want to help them and have places to turn. They are no longer condemned as witches, but they are still treated like the plague. John makes the consequences of his wife not getting better very clear. The woman states that John says, "If I don't pick up faster, he shall send me to Weir Mitchell in the fall." Dr. Mitchell was famous for his rest care. This cure downgraded the patients to infant-like dependence. Many assumptions exist around those with mental illnesses. Popular works of media, such as horror movies set in mental hospitals, do not help end the stigma. A mental illness does not make someone a genius or more interesting. Using a mental illness as a writing trope takes away from the personhood of those afflicted. This lack of identity is shown by the wife when she writes, "I don't sleep much at night, for it's so interesting to watch developments." She is talking about the wallpaper. However, the most common perpetrator of this stigma are those who use mental disorders as adjectives. People do this by saying that their neat roommate is OCD, or that their friend who got mad at them is bipolar, or that their thin friend is anorexic. When people use these terms to describe healthy and normal behavior, they are taking away from the severity of these illnesses and allowing them to be ridiculed. Mental illnesses are just as debilitating and painful as any physical illness and should be treated with such respect. John blatantly disrespects his wife by not being understanding and aware of what she is going through. His wife expresses its inconsideration by writing, "John does not know how much I really suffer. He knows there is no reason to suffer, and that satisfies him." This lack of attention to depression not only happens to the wife in the yellow wallpaper, but also to college students. According to Healthline, if you have a large lecture class of 100 students, statistics say that 44 people in that room will have depression. 33 of them will never seek help. 19 of them will think about committing suicide because of their depression, and 15 of them will show clear warning signs. Because of the stigma surrounding depression, people do not feel comfortable getting help for their legitimate mental illness. This is characterized in the yellow wallpaper when John tried to restrict what his wife thinks, convincing her that the very worst thing I can do is to think about my condition. The stigma shown by her husband not only perpetuates her depression, but makes her ashamed of her mental state. This happens to students too, leading them to not want to seek treatment. John convinces his wife that treatment is not the right solution. She writes, "No one but myself can help me out of it. that I must use my will and self-control and not let any silly fancies run away with me. This neglect could lead to truly horrifying consequences, like the main character experienced in The Yellow Wallpaper, or even worse, like Robin Williams. So when it comes to legitimate illnesses, as Matt Haig once said, depression isn't a choice, but stigma and ignorance are.